All right. So today I'm going to be making just a couple quick um, stuffed pasta fillings. A little similar to the one that I did last time, but a little different as well. Um, One is going to be squash, mushroom, a little bit of ricotta, and that La Tour cheese. And then the other one is going to be peas, ricotta, um, mint, and basil. So I'm just going to quick chop up these little squash that I had sort of peeled earlier. And just get them into little pieces that I can saute in the pan and get them cooked with the mushroom. I don't care how nice they are as long as they're just going to cook kind of evenly and sort of quickly. And then I'm going to put them in a small little mini food processor to kind of blend them up a little bit. So I'll just do a little bit of olive oil. Start with the squash. Probably add a little bit of onion to this one. Just a little. Oh, I realized that what I should be doing is not cutting on this board. Cutting on my cutting board. So I have to wipe all this stuff off the counter. Especially the sticky squash. And I did make a couple little, two different kinds of pasta. I made one regular semolina pasta like I did last time, and then I also made a batch of pasta that I want to test with a little bit of light rye flour that my Zia kindly sent me, along with some other flour. So that other pasta dough is going to be a little darker, egg-based, instead of water and flour and oil and salt. And it has a little bit of semolina in there. It's like, let's say, roughly a third semolina, a third rye, and a third of a mix of like bread flour and doppio zero pizza flour. So looks pretty clean. I think this is probably all the mushroom I'm going to use for this project. These are going to kind of sweat down and shrink a bit, so it'll give me a good little ratio with this squash and cheese. I don't mind if there's a little color on the squash. It's just going to give it some flavor. But I will probably add the onions and mushrooms and start cooking that all together. Add a little salt to get some of the moisture out of here. A little pepper. I'm going to have a couple of these for dinner though tonight. Something else. So I'm just going to cut those up now. So I'm just going to let this steam cook for a minute. And in the meantime, I suppose I can start putting together stuff for the pea filling. Yeah, maybe I did need a little more peas in this. I wonder. Maybe not. All right. Basil and mint. We want a little bit of garlic. And that squash filling. Should have gotten that in there already. So I'm just going to slice this super thin so it cooks fast. Cool. Nice and thin. It's going to cook nice and fast. So I'm probably going to use all this mint for the pea and ricotta filling. And then I will probably use a little bit of that basil, maybe with the squash one. Don't know that I would normally do basil with it. I think a little thyme or, man, even lemon thyme or something. Even a tiny little bit of finely chopped rosemary would probably be better than the basil with the squash and that stuff. But that's what I got, and that's what I'm going to use. there. I think maybe just another minute or two with this, and that's going to be cooked enough. I'll probably use half of this basil. For the pea filling. Yep. Nice and soft. That's perfect. Tiny bit of salt. That's going to be good. A little more pepper. I'm just going to throw this in a bowl. Ooh. Do not like this pan. So I'm just going to kind of spread it out on the walls of the bowl so it's sort of in a thinner, even layer around the bowl. And then I'm going to throw this in the freezer to just chill out while I work with this pea filling. And then we'll come back to this. So for the pea filling, I'm going to do a little bit of ricotta. These peas. Make a mess. I think I'm going to grate a little bit of parm in there. A little salt and a little pepper. A little salt. And actually, on that note, what I would add to that squash filling would be a little bit of oregano leaf, dried, which I do have. And so I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And back to this. Maybe just a hair of chili flake. Tiniest bit. And I think that's good. I have not used this yet, so I'm curious to see how it handles filling. Which I think it should be fine with this. Is going to work perfectly for filling, and hopefully the parm is going to thicken it up a little bit. Oh man, I could put some manchego in there too. probably do something like a third of a cup of parm or something. And that should probably be good. Honestly, I could probably put a little more pea in here because I don't know that that's really going to come through all that well, but I think it'll be fine for now. This is a little thin, but in all honesty, that parm is going to soak up a little bit of liquid. Don't ever underestimate that when you're making filling. Parmesan does soak up a little bit of moisture. So I think by tomorrow, when I go to make these, that's good. It should be a good consistency tomorrow. And if I need to thicken it, I'll figure that out. But I think once it cools, or it is cold, but once it sits overnight, it'll thicken. And then if worse comes to worse, you could add a little breadcrumb, tiny bit to thicken it. In this case, I may even throw in a tiny bit of almond flour, which I think wouldn't be a bad thing at all. So filling is going to go in a bowl till tomorrow. I mean, if it's still too thin tomorrow, I could theoretically add just a tiny bit of like even chickpea flour to just bind it up a tiny bit. But we'll see if it's going to need that. I think that's going to be good by tomorrow. All right, the squash is a little warm, so while that's cooling, I'm gonna eat dinner because I'm starving. I'm gonna let this hang out for a minute. Probably just use the same pan because I don't care. I'll keep the ricotta cold for the time being, and I am going to do. I have a lot of filling, and it may need to make a little more something. Huh. All right, I think I'm going to stop recording for now because there's not really any point. And I'll just record when I make the ravioli tomorrow. I mean, I'm basically just going to do the same thing with that squash and whatnot. I'm going to pulse it in the little food processor with some ricotta, parm, season it up, and then that's going to be my second stuffed pasta filling. So technique will be fairly similar, and then we'll go over the ravioli or tortellini or agnolotti tomorrow. All right.